He hated white people, had parents who were scared of him, tried to behead one of his 3 victims, and will probably be in with the dress-wearing you-know-what-a-files in his new home, Belmarsh Prison, since if he gets on the wing, the white lads will fucking have him. Ha! But what were the missed opportunities to stop triple murderer Axel Rudakubana, who was 17 when, in July 2024, he committed his evil acts, becoming what he's become? If you're getting into this video, do subscribe, give the video a like, drop a comment and donate. Hit the thanks button below, I'll appreciate you. Born in Cardiff on August 7th, 2006, Axel Rudakubana grew up alongside his older brother in a modest home. In 2013, when Axel was 7, the family relocated to Banks, a small village in Lancashire, just a few miles away from Southport. The move was meant to provide the children with more opportunities and a quiet place in which to grow up. At first, Axel thrived in his new environment. He was liked by both teachers and classmates and rapidly showed his talent for acting, getting a role, in fact, in a Children in Need trailer where he portrayed Doctor Who. For a while, it seemed that Axel was heading towards a very promising future. By the time he entered adolescence, however, Axel's life took a notably dark turn. In 2019, at the age of 13, Axel started showing signs of deep anxiety and social isolation. He struggled to connect with his peers and increasingly withdrew from the world around him. His parents began to grow concerned. The shift was most apparent at school where, unlike before, Axel faced relentless bullying stemming from racial hate. That October, in a moment of desperation, Axel rang Childline and told them that he had started carrying a knife to school for protection. He said that he feared for his safety and believed that no one else would protect him and that he was seriously thinking about killing. When the school found out what Axel had told Childline, they kicked him out. In December of the same year, he returned to the school unannounced, armed with a hockey stick. His anger had boiled over and he attacked a student who used to bully him, breaking his arm. Hidden in the backpack that he had with him, meanwhile, was a kitchen knife, evidencing his growing fixation on violence. In any event, teachers thankfully managed to overpower Axel and they called the police. Axel was arrested and later charged with assault, ABH, that's actual bodily harm, and possession of an offensive weapon. This incident was Alex's first formal encounter with the criminal justice system. He was referred to Prevent, the UK's anti-extremism programme, after authorities noted concerning behaviours of his, including an apparent fascination with mass shootings. And yet, despite all these warning signs, Prevent officials determined that Axel didn't exhibit any clear signs of radicalisation or ideological motivation. And yeah, if you're thinking, what the fuck, you're not the only one. Instead, they deemed that his actions were the result of his personal struggles, not the result of his extremist beliefs, if any. How convenient. Axel was placed under a youth justice referral order, a programme designed to rehabilitate young offenders. He completed the order in 2021, but the underlying issues that plagued him, his isolation, his anger, and his growing obsession with violence, remained unaddressed. In February 2021, Axel drew attention again. This time, a student from his previous school reported posts that Axel had made on his social media. Among these were references to Colonel Gaddafi, the ousted Libyan dictator. While the exact content of his posts is unknown, they were alarming enough to warrant a second Prevent referral. Once again, though, the investigation concluded that Axel posed no ideological threat. My God. Axel's third and final referral to Prevent came in April 2021 when a teacher noticed that Axel had been researching the 2019 London Bridge terror attack during a lesson. The incident, in which convicted terrorist Usman Khan murdered 2 people, had captured national attention. Axel's interest in that event raised eyebrows, but, like before, officials found no concrete evidence of radicalisation or extremist ideology. And honestly, it makes you wonder what the point of the Prevent programme blimmin' is. Axel's vastly worrying behaviour, in any case, wasn't confined to school or his online activity. In November 2021, police were called to his home after Axel, who was 15 at the time, got into a heated argument with his father. In a fit of anger, Axel kicked his father and damaged his car. Although the situation de-escalated before officers arrived, his father chose not to press charges, in line with the de-escalation, I would say, and the matter ended with another vulnerable child referral. 4 months later, March 2022, while Axel's parents were out, Axel left the house without any notice or explanation to his parents. After his mother reported him missing, he was found by police on a bus whose driver called the police himself when Axel refused to pay his fare. When officers arrived, Axel calmly announced that he was carrying a knife. The police confiscated the weapon before returning Axel to his parents. Officers advised his mother to secure all the knives in the home. Despite the repeated incidents, no arrests were made and the cycle of warnings continued. Perhaps the most alarming escalation of all came in January 2022 when Axel purchased castor beans online. Those beans contain ricin, which is one of the most lethal biological toxins known to man. Found in a sealed container under his bed during a later police search, the one that came the day after his arrest for what he did at that dance lesson in Southport on July the 29th, 2024, the ricin was confirmed to have the potential to kill thousands. With the ricin, police found equipment for confecting it into a weapon of mass murder, including a pestle and mortar, a lab beaker and safety goggles. On the perpetrator's devices, moreover, police found a terror training manual from an Islamic terror group, along with numerous images of genocide and mass violence. The police made all these discoveries, as I said, the very day after the perpetrator's arrest for his Southport atrocities. However, this information wasn't made public for another 4 months, which MPs like Robert Jenrick and Liz Truss said felt like a betrayal of the UK public, a terror attack, or even just a planned one, being an attack on us all. By early 2023, the perpetrator was no longer attending school, having effectively dropped out, his mental health having deteriorated to the point where he refused to leave his home. A week before his devastating visit to a particular dance club in Southport, a very unfortunate dance club, he armed himself with a large kitchen knife and booked a taxi to his old school. The timing was deliberate. Students were just finishing their last day of term. Axel's father, though, spotted him leaving the house and sensed that something was wrong. Acting quickly, he confronted both Axel and the taxi driver outside. A tense confrontation followed, say witnesses, with Axel's father pleading with the driver not to take Axel to the school. Eventually, Axel was persuaded to leave the vehicle and the immediate threat was averted. But that incident, like so many before it, passed without any further action, the perpetrator's own parents clearly having no control over their own son. No report was made to authorities, and no one realised at this point either how close Axel had come to enacting bloodshed at his old school, or that no more than a week later, bloodshed was precisely what he would enact at a Taylor Swift-themed dance lesson for little girls. On the morning of July the 29th, a few hours before he left his home, Axel sat at his computer and searched for details of the 2014 attack on Marie-Emmanuelle in Sydney, Australia. It was as if he needed one last dose of inspiration before enacting his own fucked up plan. Shortly before noon, Axel stepped out of a taxi on Hart Street, Southport, ignoring the calls from the driver about how he wanted to pay his fare, the driver getting out of his taxi and following the customer for a few steps before giving up. And very possibly saving his own life with that very act. Who knows, innit? The perpetrator was wearing a green sweatshirt with the hood pulled up tightly and a surgical mask obscuring his face. Inside the Hart Street dance space, the Taylor Swift-themed dance lesson is in full swing. The girls, all aged between 6 and 9, are dancing with glee and delight under the coaching of their teacher, Leanne Lucas. Moments later, 3 of the very, very young attendees are lying dead on the floor of the studio in a pool of blood, while 8 others, including the teacher, collapse moments after that with stab wounds of their own. They have all just become victims of the savagery of 17-year-old Axel Rudakubana, who entered the studio shortly before wielding his 8-inch kitchen knife. And in case you need any further proof of this animal's total lack of remorse, when, shortly after enacting his murderous rampage, he was taken into police custody, he said, quote, "I'm so glad those K-bleep DS are dead. It makes me happy, unquote. And sorry, I had to miss a word there in case YouTube restricts this video in some way. Word of the attack spread rapidly, plunging the whole nation into grief, shock and anger. This anger was about 10x'd when, within hours, false information about the perpetrator's background began to circulate online. These unsubstantiated rumours triggered a wave of protests and riots across the country, and even when it was established that the perpetrator was born and raised in the UK, people protested that his parents, who were Rwandan immigrants, should never have been allowed into the country. Having eventually pleaded guilty to all the charges against him, namely the murders of Alice de Silva Aguiar, B.B. King and Elsie Stancombe, 10 charges of attempted murder and a charge of possessing a knife in a public place. As of the 23rd of January 2025, the perpetrator is doing a minimum of 52 years inside. According to the sentencing judge, the perpetrator is unlikely to ever be released since a minimum term is just that, the bare minimum of prison time that a lifer has to serve. And again, if you are still in any doubt as to the perpetrator's heartlessness, he was kicked out of the courtroom twice for rudely shouting out and being disruptive. No remorse, no respect, just pure evil. Ha! Let him enjoy the coming 52 years in the company of friendly and supportive child rapists. See how he fucking likes that. If this video has gripped you, I recommend you to watch this one next. I'll meet you there.